Hello, hello. Hi, folks. Welcome. Happy Wednesday in hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. Welcome. Good to see you. So, yeah, we got an interesting one tonight. Last night, we talked about how it's not gonna take you an hour a day to build an empire, right? Now, it's kind of cool because this morning, Moonly, how are you? Welcome. So this morning, we have a Zoom to our team in India on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so last night I talked about how, listen, if you're going to build an empire, it's not going to take an hour a day. You're going to have to bust your butt, right? And today in our Zoom this morning, somebody shared a story. We have what's called an inspirational segment where we open the Zoom with an inspirational thought. And the guy who shared this story, I thought it just goes so well hand in hand with what we've been talking about as far as time and stuff is concerned. So this whole network marketing world, side gig world, the gig economy, affiliate marketing, I don't know, direct sales, social retail, whatever you call it, okay? This whole gig economy is huge, okay? Is huge. So you can't deny this whole movement, if you will, or this shift, right? Now, at the same time, let's put a pause on that. Let's go to a different profession. Let's go to sports. Let's go to actors or actresses. If you ever look at somebody's success, okay, most of the time, their success didn't happen from the day they were born. What I mean by that is that they didn't work their lifetime to just get that success, right? Now, I know you may think, wait a minute, no, that's not kind of true. They did work their lifetime, but hear me out for a second. So let's say, let's go with Sylvester Stallone, okay, my favorite guy. Sylvester did 1,500 auditions, 1,503, I believe, auditions, and they all told him no before the third one gave him a 30-second role in the first movie that he was going to get beat up for 30 seconds. Okay. Now, those 1,500 auditions, how long do you think? Do you think that he went for auditions at age like 0? No. He went for them when he found out that's what he wants to do. Right? At some point he said, you know what? I want to act. And they're like, what? You got this thing going on with your lip? Listen. But he decided that he wants to act, right? And this is not a Rocky live, okay? I'll get to my point in a second. So he decided he wants to be an actor. He moves to New York. I've done a couple of lives on Rocky, obviously, because he's like my favorite guy on the planet. So he moves to New York and he goes over 1,503 or something like that auditions before he gets one part, a 30-second part, right? That he gets beat up in it for 30 seconds, okay? Now, he was a teenager, okay? He was young. He was 16, 17 years old. And that happens in a period of a few years. And that's my point. I'll give you a story that I heard this morning. So this is a person he's a big name in our profession in the network marketing space. But he used to be a co-founder. He's no longer with us. He used to be a co-founder of a company, right? So he's sitting with the friend of ours this morning that's telling the story. He's sitting with him at his ranch. He's got a 600 and I wanted to say he's got a 640,000 acre something. He owned a town in Texas, like all that, right? Just beyond wealthy, right? So he's telling our friend that, hey, listen, all my success, hear this out, all my success, all my wealth, all my travels, the ranch, the town, the companies, all this stuff, all my wealth happened in 8 years. 8 years ago, I didn't have money to pay my electricity bill. It was shut off. And today I own a town, etc., etc. And the point that he was getting at, and I think that's so powerful because people miss this point so many times in life. The point that you're trying to get at is that, Gloria, what's up? The point he's trying to get at is that it can happen pretty quickly. It doesn't have to be a 50, 60, 70 year process, journey, right? It can happen pretty quickly. Like, for example, you guys know I'm into MMA and martial arts, UFC, all that kind of stuff. So Conor McGregor, whether you like him or you don't, it doesn't matter if you like him or you don't, all right? He went from being on welfare to the highest paid athlete within 5 years. These are extraordinary stuff happening around the world. Last year, a 14-year-old made $21 million on TikTok. 1 year. She made zero the year before. So what I'm trying to tell you is it's that it can happen pretty quickly. It doesn't have to take years it doesn't have to take generations, you know. It can happen within a very, very tight, strict few years. You know, John Melton, if you're in the space, in the network marketing space, you know who he is. If you don't, he's in our company, but I would say, he's at least, and I want to say more, but I want to down it, right? He probably, he's one of the top 100 people in the world, so he's probably banking about, I don't know, $500,000, 600,000-700,000 a month, right? And those are big numbers. So when you think about that, and I talked to him, and he said it took him 7 years to go from a job that he was doing mortgages to go full time in network marketing to make 100,000 a year. 100,000 a year is 83.33 a month. So 8,333 a month is 100,000 a year. So it took him 7 years to go from zero to 8,000 a month in network marketing. Now, my question to you is this, right? So it doesn't take like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. If you move with intention, if you get in and I'm not talking about just direct sales network marketing. I'm talking about in general, right? You can become an athlete, you can become a swimmer, you can become, well, whatever you want to be, if you just intensely put in that focus in, right? And you don't give it gaps. Like these guys didn't do it in 2 years and then went away for 3 years and then come back, did it for another year and then went away for another 6 months. That's not how they did it. He went to 1503 auditions in a row, one after another, not within like 60 years, you know, just condensed. Now, at the same time, guess what happens? Everything can go down like that. Maybe even quicker, a lot quicker. I have lost things 3 times. I've hit rock bottom 3 times, right? And so I know it can be lost, boom, like that, right? Now, here's what I got to share with you is this. Think about this to yourself. This is something that was brought to my attention. Think to yourself. If you didn't believe in network marketing or having a side business, okay, if you didn't believe it, you thought it was just a gimmick, whatever, right? Anyway, that's another life. Let's say you think to yourself, you're like, well, what if it took me 7 years to make, I don't know, let's just throw a number, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, whatever you want, right? What if it took me 7 years to make that money via this route, via the network marketing, direct sales, affiliate, side gig, what have you? What if it took me 7 years to get to that point? What if it took me 5 years? What if it took me 10 years to get to that point, right? 8 years to get to that. 8 years to own a town. From not having to pay your bill, your electricity bill, to owning a town. I'm looking forward to that. So, what if it took you 7 years? What if it took you 8 years? And John would always ask me this question. John, what if it took you 7 years? Right? And that's a question you have got to ask yourself. What if it took you 7 years to get to where you want to be in life, truly want to be in life? What if it took you that 7 years of this whatever route that's going to take you to that, right? To that then destination point. What if that time was 7 years, 6 years, 5 years, 8 years? Would it be worth it? Would it be worth it to go 8 years from having your electricity shut off to having a 600-acre ranch? Would it be worth it to have a job where you're working 15, 6, I mean, I'm talking about the mortgage industry. I'm, 19 years in the mortgage industry, where you're working, 10, 12, back in the day, 15, 16 hours a day, sometimes 7 days a week. You hear me? Would it be worth it to bust your butt 7 years on the side and be able to generate that same income from home, at home, on your phone, that kind of thing? The whole side gig thing. Would it be worth it? And that's a question you gotta answer. And then when you answer that question, and if it is a yes, then I'm gonna tell you strongly, you'd be a fool not to look at this profession. Straight up. If that answer is yes, would it be worth it to take 7 years, 5 years for me to generate an extra, I don't know, 5,000 a month, 3,000 a month, just on the side? Would it be worth it for me? Yeah, it would be worth it. Okay, well, how do I do that? So you would be a fool not to look at this profession. straight up. Now, I'm not saying income claims, and we don't make any income claims, right? Because everybody's very different, right? I mean, there's people who've been in the industry for 20 years and haven't made a dime. They just like to be in that crowd, in a positive crowd, the camaraderie, the getting togethers, and they just love that stuff. It doesn't have to be just for the business. People join for culture. There's just good products. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be like, oh my God, I'm gonna go like tell people. You don't have to do that. I have people in my team, and I appreciate them very much. They buy products every month, and that's it. That's it. They're just a customer. Like they would go to Walmart once a month, or they would go to Gelson's, or they would go to Ralph's and Kroger. They would go shop. I don't think Kroger would be pissed if they don't come like every day and wear a Kroger shirt in the front and say, I bought from, it's like, they just like the products. Some like the culture. That some show up to the conferences and they just like the highs and hellos and, hey man, how you been, So it could be the culture, right? It doesn't have to be always the business. But what I'm saying to you is, would it be worth it? Wherever you are in life right now, because I don't know where you are in life. I know exactly where I am, right? I know where I am, and I know that I don't want to be here. I appreciate being here. I know it's exactly where I need to be, but I'm looking for that progress, right? So you got to think to yourself, okay, is it worth it? Like, is it worth it? And then you're like, yeah. And then you're like, oh, then I got to spend some time after work working on myself and this, that. You're asking, is it worth it? That you buy all that, you embrace all of that. And then you come and say, okay, well, what are the routes? This, the other. And then you pick and choose the route that fits you, and then you go. You don't just sit there and kumbaya, my lord, right? My favorite. These people busted their butts. This guy went from zilch to literally co-owning a network marketing company. It's like, I think he made like, I want to say over 450 million as a co-owner. I think, I don't quote me on that, but something like that. So it can happen fairly quickly. Like you got the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. It's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to go or not either way, right? I get it. But if you don't go, you still got the 5 years, 10 years, 7 years, right? I mean, it's just going to happen. So for you to think to yourself, okay, well, 5 years from today, 7 years from today, do I really want to be like where I am right now? Or would it be worth it? And I'll leave you with this. It's never over until you're over. It's the truth. I have people that I know that have gotten into this profession. I know a guy from another company. He's one of the top 5 earners in that company. I can't name any names. But I know him because I've talked to him on the phone several times. And he told me, he says, Sean, I got into network marketing at age 52. It was either that or going to work at Walmart. Yeah, I think he's happy he didn't go to Walmart and apply, right? So with that, hopefully you ask that question from yourself tonight. Would it be worth it for me to carve out that time frame for myself, And with that, hopefully you guys got some love, some inspiration, some value from this. Oh, duh. If your answer is yes, it is worth it. At least I can take a look, right? If your answer is yes, and you like that kind of a, success, if you call it success. I call it success. Shoot, if you go from not paying your electricity bill, having it shut off, to owning a town, I'd say that's pretty good. So if I'm not saying you're going to own a talent, by the way, don't come back to me and say, So if your answer is yes, and if you're like open to taking a look, or you just like, I got you curious, or you're like, well, how bad can it be? Or what's the worst thing that could happen? That kind of thing. If you're in that area and you'd like to check out to see what I do, you can always go to sidegigshawn.com and tell me why. There's like 5 questions there, and you answer those questions. I get an email. I'll respond back to you within a day and share some info. If you like, you don't, great, and we go from there. So, yeah, I come from the mortgage industry, so numbers and stats are my thing. With that, man, I did not think I'm gonna yap that long. With that, hopefully you guys, some of you are still on. I don't know who's on, who's not on. Hopefully I didn't bore you. With that, hopefully you guys get some love, some inspiration, some value from this. I appreciate you guys. One takeaway. Come on, one takeaway. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let this feed grow. Hey, listen, if you want to just get information, you can just drop in the comments, info me or something like that, and I got you. All right. And with that, if you feel like if you feel like this would head up somebody else, if you know somebody else that's like, oh my God, I hate my job, or I don't know what to do, or see that's a whole other life, because I do not want to talk another half hour how I got in there. I've done a live on that before, a couple lives, but we'll do another one. But yeah, if you just want info, you can just info me here, or go to sidegigshawn.com and tell me why. And with that, if you feel like this is worthy of sharing, come on now. Do what you got to do. Spread the love. Tag a couple people. Maybe 3. It's okay. And with that, I am Shawn Azimi with sidegigshawn.com, where I help you look, start, and grow your side business. Signing off until tomorrow, when we do it all over again. Much love.